So, do I have a favorite editor or example of editing in a film? That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Well, I do love how Tom Cruise edits, for sure. Like Whiplash and his later films like First Man. Let me think about something more recent. It's super interesting because I usually do not think about, okay, this was a super great editing. Usually the super great editing is a part of a great movie, you know, like for instance, One Battle After Another was amazing. I really loved the movie and I really loved the editing of the movie, but I know that editing is only part of what made it great for me, because there were many more other parts and moments that were great. But usually I do, yeah, I have to think about it. I haven't seen the drama yet, no, but I believe it is great. It is on my list as well. I'll watch it. Okay, let's see. I'm sorry if I haven't answered your question, but it's a tough one. If you have a favorite editor, please let us know. When editing to music, do you always cut to the music or make your cuts and then add the right music? I tend to, well, it depends on the project. So sometimes I know that it should be a poetic cut of, I don't know, maybe an event or something, like if it's a music video, obviously, I cut to the music. But if it's something narrative, usually I start by editing without music. And I also believe that it helps me to feel the pacing of dialogue, to feel the pauses where they are needed to be, and then I add the music and I see if it matches, if it doesn't match. Yeah, but I know it's like it's a very, very subjective thing, and I know lots of editors who always try to find music first and then they edit. But I guess it depends also on the project. I know in the example of jump cut here, it was intentional to show passage of time. When I edit a talking head who messed up, now I have a jump cut that I have to smooth out. Sometimes I cover it with B-roll. Of course, yeah, but that was what I also wanted to show you, that if you just have a jump cut because of necessity, because somebody messed up, because you don't want this part of the speech or the sentence inside your edit, then it's probably better to have a B-roll, or maybe you have maybe you film an interview with two cameras so that you can cut from a wider angle to a closer angle, because jump cut, you see them, so you will see that you made a jump cut there. And if it's not a stylistic choice, like lots of YouTube channels use jump cuts and this is their style, it's okay for viewers are okay with them, but it's like if it's a serious interview and you don't want to have this confusion of jumping, like we have a in one scene we made like 3 jump cuts because the person, he didn't know what to say, and it conveyed this emotional state of his, like okay, he doesn't know what to say, so we jump through time and he still doesn't know what to say, then it works. But if it's just a normal interview, then I would also cut to some B-roll. Sometimes I've noticed is that because of YouTube, jump cuts have become more stylistically accepted, usable in many ways. I used to hate them, but really have come to appreciate them more. Yes, why not? Yeah. That was a great question, Bo. Do you cut a couple frames before the beat or exactly on the beat? You mean on the music? Or that, I cut different. Like when I edit sometimes exactly on the beat and then not always on the beat. But yes, if I edit on the beat, normally I do it exactly on the beat. So I will just, I'm such a nerd, I will really line up my audio and my video so that it matches exactly. And I have, like, for instance, in show reels, I love when, no, well, okay, that's a little bit different. Sometimes I edit that I don't have a cut, but I have some action on the beat. You know what I mean? So maybe it's some movement in the shot that comes to this beat, and then I have a cut on the next beat, if it makes sense to you. This is how I would approach editing on beat. All right. I don't see any other questions. We still have 23 people here with us. Wonderful. Okay, no, one question from Brent. Okay, that's the last one, and then we go to the quiz. How much pre-planning do you do with editing in mind versus find your edits after you get into the editing room? Also depends on the project. If it's a narrative project or, I don't know, a music video, even commercials, normally we do lots of storyboarding, like my colleagues and I. I'm also a director, so that's why I love to know how the film will come out at the end. And we know the shots in advance, so we have a very clear idea of how it should be edited in the end. But of course, there is lots of space for some happy accidents that happen in the editing room. And sometimes, like a documentary edit, or when I film an event, for example, or just some run and gun shooting, then you just have to go with the flow and try to find your story in the editing room. But I like myself personally, I like to have a clear idea of how I will edit. But are there ever any times you use a cross dissolve? I also believe cross dissolves became more acceptable again. Like you have, for example, in the Sherlock series, if you have seen it, they have lots of cross dissolves and everything. I personally do not use cross dissolves, but was it Brand, right? I used to hate them. I used to hate them, but now I come to be okay with them. For dream sequences, but that's it, writes Emmanuel. Yeah, cross dissolves for dream sequences are perfect. They make it like flowy and nice and unreal. Yeah. All right, thank you so much for the questions. I will show you my quiz because I think it's quite fun. Get yourself a paper or maybe you write it in just in your phone or somewhere, because I will read you the questions and some answer options, and then you can check afterwards what you got right and what you got wrong. It's only 5 questions, guys, so not to worry. So, question number 1. Imagine a scene in which an editor cuts repeatedly from a power-hungry politician, you see him on your left, posturing in a palace, and a mechanical peacock on your right, who is showing its feathers. So cuts repeatedly from this shot to this shot. What editing technique is this? Option A, continuity editing. Option B, rhythmic montage. Option C, intellectual montage. Or option D, invisible editing. So what editing technique would it be if we cut from the left picture to the right one? Continuity editing A, B, rhythmic montage, or C, intellectual montage, or D, invisible editing. I hope this one is a simple one if you stayed with us for the whole webinar. So let's go to the next one. It's a little bit more tricky because it requires some of cinema knowledge. There is a very, very famous match cut, maybe the match cut from the classic movie Lawrence of Arabia. Can you remember what 2 shots it connects, this match cut? So option A, a camel's gaze and the hero's tears. Option B, a dynamite explosion and the slamming of a door. Option C, we cut from blowing out a match to the desert sunrise. Or option D, a sip of coffee will be edited to a sandstorm. So A, like match cut, consists of 2 shots. Option A, camel's gaze and the hero's tears. B, dynamite explosion and the slamming of a door. C, blowing out a match and the desert sunrise. Or D, a sip of coffee and a sandstorm. Okay, I go to the next question. Which one of the following is not a core principle of continuity editing? A, the 180-degree rule, maintaining a consistent axis of action. B, eyeline match, ensuring that the direction of a character's gaze is consistent across cuts. C, match on action, ensuring that a physical movement begun in one shot is completed in the next. Or D, graphic match, aligning the visual composition of two consecutive shots to suggest a thematic link. Okay, so you see the options on the screen. I won't repeat them. I'll go to question 4, which we talked today about. Which of the following best defines the primary aesthetic difference between a match cut and a jump cut? A match cut uses visual or action-based continuity to create a thematic or narrative bridge between shots, while a jump cut intentionally fractures the temporal flow to emphasize a break in continuity. B. A match cut creates an invisible, seamless transition, whereas a jump cut functions as an intellectual montage to convey abstract symbolic meaning. C. A match cut is only valid if it occurs between two different locations, whereas a jump cut is only valid if it occurs within a single static shot. And D. A match cut is the professional standard for continuity editing, while a jump cut is considered a technical error that should always be avoided in modern cinema. Okay, I hope everyone has had time. Okay, the last question, my favorite one. So, in the Spider-Man film from 2002, in one particular scene, they wanted to avoid placing a cut so that they can create a mighty on-camera trick, in-camera trick. We will watch this scene real quick, it's only a couple of seconds. And the question would be, how do you think, how many takes did it take them to film this iconic scene? I'll show it to you. So we're talking about this shot in which the lunch tray falls down and he catches it, Peter Parker, and also catches all the stuff falling on it. As you've seen, they didn't have any cuts inside, so they had to film it in camera with a practical effect, with practical actor catching all this stuff. So what do you think? How many takes did it take them to film this shot? A, 5, B, 17, C, 165, and D, 2005. That's the last question. And I will jump to the questions before that so that we can check it. I hope everyone had the time to write down the answers. And now you can check. So, question number 1 was about this interesting cut, which is actually from Eisenstein's movie. And it is his idea of a political commentary on a hero, which was, I forgot his name, but it was a real person, and he critiqued him by comparing him to a peacock. So this is, of course, the example of C, intellectual montage, for the question 1. In the film Lawrence of Arabia, the most famous match cut that happened almost accidentally, as they say, it's the option C, where Lawrence blows out a match, and in the next shot we see a desert sunrise. It is considered one of the most famous match cuts in cinema history. So C. Not the core principle of continuity editing is graphic match. I'm not quite sure if graphic match even technique of editing, but I guess that Eisenstein had something similar. Everything else is one of the core principles, like 100-degree rule, eyeline match, and as we talked, match on action. Graphic match is not one of them, so the correct answer is D. In the question 4, I'm pretty sure that there could be some mistakes. The correct answer is answer C, answer A, narrative bridge versus fracturing the temporal flow. Because in the C, it says a match cut is only valid if it occurs between two different locations, which is not true. It could be also in one location, between different characters, between different objects, between different sounds. So it's not the needed requirement for a match cut. But that is a narrative bridge, and that jump cut fractures the temporal flow is the correct answer. And the last one, I'm pretty interested what you guys said, but the correct answer is actually also C. 156 takes it took them to film this fun shot in the Spider-Man. 4 out of 5, that's great, Bo. 3 out of 5 is also awesome. 5 out of 5, someone got nice. Okay, perfect, perfect, guys. That's great. I hope you liked it, and I hope that you had fun and also learned something new, or maybe revisited some basics that you forgot, and now you will be able to use all what we are talking about in your edits and enhance the stories that you want to tell. And I will be very happy to see you next time in our storytelling sessions. Thank you so much, and have a great day or evening or night. Bye bye. Happy editing, yes.